ever feel like the polite world of air travel has flown the coop.
Yeah, me too. So we're taking a deep dive into the wild world of unruly airline passengers. Yeah, it's gotten kind of crazy, hasn't it?
Right. Like, it's one thing to hear about, a vaping mishap in first class causing a flight diversion.
Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way, actually happened on an American Airlines flight recently.
Wow.
But then you read about a Jetstar flight forced to turn back all the way to Australia because of one disruptive passenger.
Oh, man.
Cost the guy over $5,000, and that was just in wasted fuel.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Makes you wonder what is going on at 30,000 feet.
Well, it highlights that this isn't just about, annoyance.
Right.
These are real consequences, and they're getting more severe.
Yeah.
Airlines and authorities are fed up and starting to crack down. What's interesting is how they're getting creative with those consequences, like in that Australian case.
Totally. It's like the Wild West up there sometimes. And it's not just international flights either. Remember that Delta flight that had to make an emergency landing in Salt Lake City recently?
I did see that, yeah.
10 passengers needed medical attention because of a pressurization issue.
Yeah, that incident, while obviously unfortunate, makes you think about, the potential link between air travel and aggression.
Really?
There's actually a theory that pressurization effects at high altitudes can mess with our systems, making us, more prone to anxiety, maybe even sparking aggression.
Wow. So it's not just about being crammed in a tiny seat.
Right.
The air itself could be a factor. Okay, I'm suddenly feeling very grateful for my noise-canceling headphones and my pre-flight chamomile tea.
Yeah, it's definitely not the only factor,
Right.
but it's a fascinating piece of the puzzle. Buckle up. Things are about to get interesting.
Okay, so we've got the altitude, the close quarters, and maybe even the air itself playing a role in all of this.
Right.
But what about us?
Yeah.
What about the human element? What makes someone finally snap on a plane?
Well, you're right. It's kind of a perfect storm of factors.
Okay.
But let's start with something we all know can impair judgment a little bit.
Okay.
Alcohol.
Yeah, that pre-flight cocktail.
Right.
Seems like a good idea at the time,
It does.
but maybe not so much when you're stuck on a plane for hours.
Exactly. And, it's not just about feeling tipsy or anything. We came across some research by Professor Jeffrey Price.
Okay.
He's an aviation security expert, and he explained that the cabin pressure at high altitudes
Yeah.
actually changes how our bodies process alcohol.
Why?
It intensifies the effects.
Really?
Yeah, so that one drink you had on the ground
Oh, no.
could hit you like 2 or 3 at 30,000 feet.
Wow. So that pre-flight calmness could easily turn into airborne agitation
Exactly.
without you even realizing it. That's unsettling.
It is, and it's something that airlines are starting to take very seriously,
Yep.
especially since alcohol is so often linked to, those viral air rage incidents that we see online.
Oh, you mean the ones where people are yelling, hitting, even hiding in garbage cans?
Yeah, exactly.
Which, speaking of, one article mentioned something called the copycat effect,
Oh, yeah.
which is basically people see these incidents online and think, hey, if they can get away with it, so can I.
Right.
It's wild.
It's become like a weird sort of trend,
Right.
fueled by social media and this desire for
15 minutes of fame.
15 minutes of viral fame, exactly, and it's contributing to this culture of disrespect,
Yeah.
disregard for the rules, and frankly, common decency on flights.
Yeah, and it's not just about the viral videos,
Right.
right? I feel like the pandemic really threw a wrench in the whole air travel experience in general.
Absolutely. It created this perfect storm of stressors.
Right.
New rules, mask mandates, constant fear of cancellations and delays.
Oh, yeah.
People were already on edge. And then you pack them into a confined space with recycled air and limited legroom.
Right.
It's a recipe for tension.
Ugh. Don't even get me started on the legroom. One article mentioned that airlines are considering getting rid of reclining seats in economy
Really?
to avoid those up or down battles.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
I mean, it sounds drastic,
Yeah.
but I think it speaks to how desperate airlines are to mitigate these situations.
Right.
Because let's face it, those arguments over reclining seats, those tiny slivers of personal space have become a major trigger for altercations.
It makes you wonder, are we just doomed to endure this?
Right? Is there even a solution?
Yeah. So we got this pressure cooker, right?
Yeah.
Alcohol, copycat behavior, pandemic stress.
Right.
And don't forget about the never-ending battle for the armrest.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It paints a pretty bleak picture, to be honest.
It does.
But surely there are solutions being explored, right? I mean, people have to be working on this. What's being done to bring some order back to the skies?
Yeah, you're right. It's not all doom and gloom.
Okay, good.
Airlines and authorities are starting to realize they can't just keep slapping on Band-Aids. They're
Yeah.
really trying to tackle the root causes.
Okay.
And one of the biggest steps forward is actually international cooperation.
Really?
Yeah, we came across an article about the Montreal Protocol 2014.
Okay.
It's an agreement aimed at creating more consistent and stricter regulations for dealing with these situations.
Okay, so instead of those laws of the land varying from country to country,
Exactly.
this protocol makes things more uniform.
Exactly. It helps close those jurisdictional loopholes
Right.
that sometimes let these passengers off the hook. Like, remember that Australian man who got fined for all that wasted fuel?
Yeah.
He's actually facing additional penalties because of the Montreal Protocol.
Wow.
It gives authorities more teeth, I guess is the way to put it,
Right, yeah.
to enforce these consequences no matter where the plane lands.
That is reassuring. So we've got international cooperation, but what about individual airlines? Are they doing anything differently?
Yeah, they are. Some are actually reconsidering alcohol service,
Really?
especially on those shorter flights
Okay.
where, that quick drink might turn into an air rage incident faster.
Yeah, I can see how that would help. I bet some passengers won't be happy about that, though. What about those who just want to enjoy a beer with their, in-flight pretzels?
Well, yeah, it's a tough call for airlines to make.
Right.
Some are trying stricter screening at the gate
Okay.
instead of, outright banning it.
Right.
The goal is to identify passengers who might already be intoxicated and, prevent them from boarding in the first place.
Oh, okay.
It's all about finding that balance, right?
Right.
Between passenger enjoyment and everyone's safety and sanity.
Exactly, yeah. Makes sense. But let's be real. Sometimes it goes beyond a few too many drinks. What about those really serious cases? Like assault or threats to the crew?
Yeah, those situations, zero tolerance.
Right.
The FAA is working closely with the FBI now
Oh, wow.
to pursue criminal charges and some pretty hefty fines.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking sometimes up to $37,000 per incident.
What?
Yeah,
In the U.S.?
in the U.S. And in some cases, people are even facing jail time.
Wow.
These aren't just slaps on the wrist.
No.
We're talking serious consequences.
Wow, $37,000. That's a pricey temper tantrum. So we've got stricter regulations, international cooperation, airlines rethinking the alcohol.
Right.
Serious consequences for the worst offenders. Is there anything else being done? What about, preventing these situations from happening in the first place?
Well, that's where I think education comes in.
Okay.
Airlines and different organizations are launching these campaigns
Okay.
to, remind passengers about the consequences of this behavior.
Right.
And it's not just about safety anymore, although that's obviously a huge part of it.
Right.
But they're also highlighting those hefty fines, the potential legal trouble.
Yeah. Sometimes I think just a little awareness can go a long way.
For sure. So it's a multi-pronged approach.
Yes.
Prevention, regulation, enforcement. It sounds like there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
But at least it seems like things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it's definitely a complex issue. But the good news is, I think, by understanding the factors at play, from those physiological impacts of altitude to even the role of social media,
Right.
we can all be, more informed and hopefully more responsible travelers.
That's a great takeaway. So next time you're at the airport, remember that pre-flight drink might hit you a little differently at 30,000 feet.
That's right.
Be kind to your fellow passengers, respect the rules, and let's all work together to keep the friendly skies friendly.
I like that.
Safe travels, everyone.